because that was the turning point that changed everything for me, and I sat in her circle. Had one of the most actually profoundest teachers in her and in spirit. Now what was really interesting was I used to write things down. I would write the name Lucy in my journal, but one particular night I remember this. I used to go round to the end of the street, and there used to be, tucked around along the side, there used to be a little fish bar there, and I'd get myself fish and chips, and then I'd come into circle. It was a very exciting time. And this particular evening, all the way walking up to 10 New Street through British Spiritualist Church and Psychic Centre, I had a feeling of really being watched, and I felt really uncomfortable. There was an edgy feeling to it, and whenever I closed my eyes I would feel screaming. I'd feel this young girl screaming, and it was terrifying, and it actually made me feel really frightened. I was in my early 20s, really frightened to close my eyes. I couldn't understand it. Now, I didn't tell anybody, and this experience went on. Whenever I kind of was quiet, or whenever I closed my eyes, or whenever I was on my own, I could sense it almost around me. And this went on. Now, I went up to East Croydon one particular afternoon, and I used to go to the markets up there, and have a wander around and kind of make an afternoon of it. And one particular afternoon I found myself outside the library, and again this gravitating kind of magnetic pull into the library. So I go in, a couple of floors up, and I find the psychic, new age book section, and it was absolutely huge. But what was interesting was that there was this book hanging off the shelf, and as I approached it, it actually fell off the shelf, and there opened up. I looked at it, was a chapter on psychic protection, how to open and close down. And I thought, oh my gosh, I started reading it. I thought, maybe this is what I need. How strange, So got the lady downstairs to photocopy it, went back home, and I done the exercise to close down. It just felt instinctively right, and I was physically sick, and that's no joke. I felt physically sick, and I was physically sick, and I slept something like 14 hours. Now the thing is with that, I think those of us that are hugely sensitive, we become like sponges. We absorb what we come into contact with, and actually sometimes we can be carrying so much that isn't our own. And one of the most important things I ever learned at this time was how to switch this off, how to close down, how to kind of in a way energetically protect myself. And I slept those 14 hours. I woke up, and the first time in weeks it was quiet. There was a stillness, there was a peace, and I really was, I was really thinking, what's going on? Am I going kind of crazy? There was an immense quiet and immense peace, and this little voice said to me, now you know the importance of closing down. So my experiences, the lessons that I've had, I feel very blessed that they've been direct teachings from spirit themselves. That was fundamental. And I proceeded to sit within circle for not much longer thereafter, but it was the doorway and the threshold that changed so much for me. I really honour and really appreciate and really thank the likes of Dorothy who run that circle, and for all the years that I would find myself kind of drifting back towards 10 New Street, and another kind of lovely little kind of part of this is that at different times in my life where I'd find that I would kind of be at a place where I think I may need some guidance, I would find myself going back and sitting there within the audience, and as time went by, people got to know who I was because of the nature of what I've gone on to do, and I felt really honoured. There were times where I actually stood and worked alongside the likes of Madge and Peter Richards and Adrian Brown. And they were just kind of experiences that these guys were people that I really looked up to, and they were a generation of mediums that were really into developing the younger generation. So I was really blessed to kind of be able to kind of have those experiences, sit and listen to those guys, and then finally work alongside them. Bless Colin Fry's no longer with us in that sense, same with Peter Richards, but they were amazing people, and Adrian Brown, and Madge, yeah, fantastic. But some of kind of what happened was that, I went on and I went forwards, and I'd find myself going back, at times where I needed that guidance or that kind of clarity, and I'd sit in the audience, and it would always be a medium then that I never come across and never knew, and I always thought that was fascinating, and deliver all the messages, and then I'd either be the last or second to last, and they would come over to me and they would describe my mum to a T. That I knew exactly, yes, you're talking to my mum, that's validated and that's confirmed. And then they would turn around and say to me, you know exactly what to do. And I'd think, no, I don't, because if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here. They have taught me in ways that at times were really frustrating. You pull your hair out and think, if I knew what to do, then I wouldn't be here. But actually, it made me kind of go inwardly. It made me ask myself. It made me seek the answers from within. And I would not change that for the world. And it taught me how to navigate life and listen and trust my own inner compass, and I think there's something very special about that. Now, joining the whole story up, okay, of this wonderful place, is that I was recently writing a blog, and I dug out the notes from my journal that I kept at that time, that little pocket notebook, and I dug them out. And I come across the name Lucy, and I thought to myself, oh my word, it was last December leading up to the 13th that I had an experience where I could sense this young girl around me with what felt to be very unusual, a kind of crown of candles, and this eminence of light. And the conversation I had with this kind of innate being, if you like, was that it was all to do with being comfortable with the unknown, being comfortable in the dark, and emanating the light. And there was lots of kind of conversation around the kind of importance that when we're going through struggles and times of hardship and times of not knowing and uncertainty, that what we've got to try to do is strengthen the light within us, and there was so much importance to allowing things to fall away, but what remains is that light within us. And sometimes that light just kind of gets squashed or suppressed by all the kind of challenges you're having, but what we need to do is breathe life into that light and allow that to build and grow again. It was beautiful kind of conversations, and the sense of the candles, and it was leading up to the 13th and now of December, and I can remember sitting beside a good friend's fireside and their fire, and she showed herself to me, and me being me, I kind of went on to do some kind of research, and it turned out to be St. Lucy, and St. Lucy was renowned for going down into the catacombs, and those that were persecuted and those that were hiding, she would go down there and she'd actually feed them, and the way to carry the food so she could see through the catacombs was actually wear a crown of candles, so that she had her hands free to be able to carry the food. And a beautiful story. But what's really interesting was within this last week I was writing and I was looking through my notes, and I come across my original journey in the name Lucy, and that was the name that come alongside with the feeling of the young girl that was within a fire. And I'd never really got to the bottom of that, and I just thought it was a lesson that was being taught to me from Spirit, and I was grateful for it. Now I joined up those dots, and when I joined up those dots I realised that just maybe that visitation, that experience for all that time ago that was in my notebook, Lucy, was the same person that come and showed themselves a year ago. And I'm like, hold on a minute, Lucy. And then I went on to do some research, and actually St. Lucy, she was burnt alive. She was burnt alive. Now, that left me feeling kind of shocked. It left me realising the importance of keeping a journal. It left me realising that sometimes Spirit plant a seed, and then they nurture that seed and allowed that seed to grow over a long period of time. Me standing outside 10 New Street is something that happened all that time ago, but there's been a constant through it, and I hold a lot of respect and gratitude, in fact, to all those people that influenced me the other side of this door, and also to the unseen influences. Just maybe the Lucy that I wrote in my journal is the same Lucy that appeared over a year ago. And for me, how that kind of really lands is the fact that I went to research how St. Lucy died, and she was burnt alive. They burnt her alive, and just maybe it's the same person. But there you go, guys. A little bit about my experiences of Three Bridges Spiritualist Centre Church and Psychic Centre. I wish you all a lovely day, and as I say to you, sometimes it is about nurturing those experiences and trusting those experiences to why maybe you end up where you end up. As I say, if I didn't cross through that doorway all those years ago, things would have been possibly, potentially very different to how they are and where they are now. You just never know, all those years of walking past here in my school years and intrigued and magnetised by it. You just never know. Beautiful, fantastic. Cheers guys, bye.